If you're not doing block scheduling, it's the biggest fix to this because as you grow, it forces you to reduce the amount of things that's on your menu. I don't do single crowns. I don't do fillings. If you're going to book on my schedule, I only have 2-hour blocks and 3-hour blocks. People know this inherently. Patients understand that a filling is different than a crown.
Welcome back to another episode of My Dental Playbook. I'm your co-host, Gary Bird. Along with my friend, Dr. Blake Hamblin, we're diving deep into his office and how he's grown from $200,000 to $500,000 in monthly production in just 12 months. If you want to grow, this is the show for you. Today, we're going to be talking about fixing capacity and bottlenecks and unclogging your schedule. Dr. Blake's going to share how he does same-day treatment and several other things that you have to understand if you're actually going to grow your practice. And for your listeners out there, we have a special competitive analysis right down below for you. If you want to know what your competition is doing in your market and how they're freeing up their schedules, just click the link down below. This is a great show. It's going to bring you so much value. Stay tuned. All right, we are live for another episode, and today we're going to talk about same-day availability to beat your competition. I think a lot of dentists are looking for ways they can be competitive right now. And sometimes people get stuck, right? They're like, well, I went to such and such college, or my office is really clean. But those are all things that patients kind of assume that are like a standard for dentistry. But I know that one of the things that makes you really stand out as a dental office is having availability and being able to do the work right away, because nobody wants to come back to multiple appointments or wait a week when they're in pain. And so we were just talking about that, Dr. Hamblin, at your office. And I'd love for you to share what you were telling me that you're planning on doing and kind of why you're thinking through that. Hey, sorry for interrupting, but this show is about growing your practice. And the number one thing that I see that dentists aren't doing that can create a huge competitive advantage is patient financing. Our sponsor, Cherry, is amazing at that. And they have been working with a ton of our clients. We've actually seen an average treatment increase from about $1,300 per year up to $3,000 when using Cherry. And it's just an amazing product. It's unlike anything else out there as far as financing goes. Highly recommend. There's special pricing right down below. If you're truly thinking about growing, you have to check out Cherry. Back to the show.
Yeah. So I just got back from a DSI mastermind group, and that was one of the topics that I brought up as my hot seat was, getting new creative ways to grow. And so an idea that we troubleshooted was right now we're open one Friday a month, and then we're kind of like toying with the idea of 2. And what I found even just with that is that we're filling up that other Friday. But the idea would be, let's just be open every Friday to be able, especially to service emergency patients, because nobody else, not that nobody else is open, but there's less competition. So our marketing ad spend will produce better. But then we'll also be doing a lot of the stuff that, frankly, the doctors in our office like doing, surgery, the stuff that is productive with our time. And we can provide that service on a day. But they're going into the weekend saying, I don't want to live the weekend with this issue. And so we get to solve that before then. Hey guys, sorry for interrupting. We've got a mastermind group. If you're tired of solving the same problems and not implementing, you're a great person to join this group. It's $299 a month. If you can't afford that, you're probably not going to be a good fit for the group, but we'd love to have you.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if you're listening to this and you want a competitive advantage and you want to be able to do this, you can look down below. There's going to be an analysis that you can use to figure out what days are going to work best in your market, what hours are going to work best. But for you, Dr. Hamblin, when this idea popped up, I think a lot of dentists are like, okay, cool, but it's a whole nother thing talking your team into working more. So how did you work through that?
Yeah, no, that was the first thing that popped up for me as well. And so immediately knew from a time card perspective, I was going to need to reroute some assistant time. And so what we would do there is we have a day that I don't see patients on Wednesdays. Dr. Farrell does, and we still have 4 assistants that come in and they take care of other random stuff throughout the practice. But we don't need that many on our Wednesdays. So we would probably just take that one assistant that would be coming in on that Friday or even the 2 and have them cut down on those Wednesdays to come in on Fridays. Obviously, as that grows, you can find people that are willing and want to work what you would consider a different schedule. So maybe they work Tuesday through Friday instead of Monday through Thursday, or something like that.
Yeah. So adding days is probably like the easiest thing you can look at. And like we were talking about, I've worked with offices that are open only off peak hours. So like Fridays, Saturdays. We got a goal to get to 10,000 subscribers, and 85% of you are not subscribed to the channel yet. So make it happen. Subscribe. Tell them.
Subscribe.
Good job. Make it happen.
I love that model, by the way.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. And you can get in a city, like you're in Houston, you can get a couple hundred new patients a month just for off peak hours. So after 5 or 6, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And because there's a demand, people have pain and they need a dentist. And there's like there might only be one practice or 2 practice open. So adding days is really easy, but you got to think through it. You got to plan, you got to get your team. But another way that you can actually reward your team is by adding hours or shifting hours, right? Because there's certain hours that everybody wants in your office.
Yeah. So before I was in dental school, I actually worked in an office that did this. When I joined them, they were doing about $1 million a year. And by the time a year and a half later that I left them, they were doing $3 million a year. And it was awesome. Like the biggest blessing of my life was not getting into dental school the first year I applied, because I got to go work at this office. And I learned so much. But what they did was, as they grew, instead of adding days, they just expanded hours. And so what we ended up doing were basically hospital shifts. So you can do 7 to 7. So that would be one way, is you can work like 3 12-hour shifts. Or say the other flexible way would be have a 7 to 1 shift and 11 to 7 shift. And you just literally recruit the people that don't want to wake up at 6 in the morning and they'd rather wake up at 10 in the morning. And you can build out that model. And that's what I love about dentistry, is there's so many sneaking ways to do this thing.
So many, because dentistry stuck in like one way of doing things where it's like Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m., like banker hours basically, right? And it's like, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do, but you're just like everybody else. So if all of a sudden you say, oh, no, we open up 3 days a week at 6 a.m., there's a bunch of moms that would love to come in and bang out their dentistry so the kids don't miss school or don't have to miss sports or they don't have to miss work. So there's all kinds of different ways.
It's just identifying the gap. And I think it's in your market too, right? So what might work here may not work in LA, may not work in rural Oklahoma, whatever. But you have to take the time to sit down and look and see, okay, where are the holes? And how can I plug the holes in our community?
Yeah, I love that. And then, okay, so once you do that, so you have your adding days, you have your adding hours, so you figure that out, you get your team aligned with it. It might take you a little bit of time. You might not do it in a week. It might take 3 months to get your team all set up and make sure that you're not going to, pay a bunch of people overtime and all those kind of things. And so you get that set up, you get everybody on board, everybody's excited. Now you have the next problem, which is you have to reduce wait time to get the patients in. Because if you have all these fancy hours and you're open all the time, but you're loaded with healthy patients in the hygiene department and you're scheduling patients weeks and weeks out, none of it's going to work properly.
Yeah. So I think Craig Spodak has a really great model for this, is like, even if you're a completely in-network dentist, you still have cash paying patients. So there still are patients that come in that don't have insurance. And I think that you have to, when you reach a critical capacity of, and I think it's a week to 2 weeks of being booked out, you have to start reserving time and blocking time for cash patients or out of network patients or whatever that valuable patient base is. You have to block time, and you have to be okay if those blocks go unused, because those patients are the most valuable patients to your practice because they're choosing to come to see you. And there's just so many people that are on the wheel of busyness instead of thinking about like stacking those appointments in a way that actually creates productivity in the office versus just come in and get your $30 cleaning that your insurance is going to reimburse for.
I talk to probably 10 to 15 dentists a month that fall into the trap of the amazing dentist trap, and they're a little bit up in age, and they've already like fixed all their patients' problems. Like there's no more dentistry to do. They've done everything. And so the patients are just like coming in, they're super happy. They love their dentist. Like they love their dentist. They've done all the work. Their family's done all the work. And they're just coming every 6 months in their hygiene department, and the revenue keeps going down in the office. And it's tricky because it's like, you've done a great job, doc. Like you've done your job. Good job. But you don't have any room for new patients, and you don't have any more work to do. And you can't just be a hygiene model. It's not going to keep the office afloat. And so you have to be able to clear out those spots. And it's scary. The biggest fear, there's two fears that I've seen people have in this is, number one is, like you said, you have to be okay with some of these spots going unused, because there's a little bit of trust with the marketing company. But even with that, you have to have more. Availability isn't like 2 open spots each day. Availability is like, no, we got spots all day, every day. Like you can come in, and it's going to go unused. Like you're not going to use all of it, but you have to have all of it. So there's a little bit of trust, like, okay, we're going to build this up and we're going to dump patients in and we're going to refine it over time.
Well, and those spots where we may talk about this coming up, but like those spots can end up turning into same day treatment spots, or if a patient calls and they have an emergency, you can get them in, whereas otherwise you couldn't. Like I feel like a lot of offices stick to like, this is a hygiene chair and this is a doctor chair. And I'm like, just put them in a room. And even if we can't treat them that day, we can at least diagnose and get them back. Like just getting that opportunity is so critical. And if you're just stacked hour after hour after hour after hour, you have no ability to have any wiggle room. That's where I feel like you can reach that like stagnation point. And you can't grow because you've hit that ceiling.
Yeah, that's a huge problem. So you got to get over that hump, and you don't want to fall into that trap, because I feel like a lot of people are on their way to that trap. And the other problem that people run into, and I know we're going to do a podcast later this month about this, is, well, I can't really set it up this way because I pay my hygienist this way and I incentivize my team this way. So none of this really works because of the way I've set up my financial structure, which is horrible to hear, because it's like, dude, you're not going to grow because of the way that you set up your bonus structure. That's a hard one to swallow. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. So the other component, we kind of talked about this one already, the emergency patients. There's a boatload of emergency patients that need treatment right away, and you can fill those gaps, especially on like the Fridays, the weekends, Mondays. There's a lot of different creative ways to do that. Every night there's emergencies that no one's open, and they're going to go somewhere the next morning, whoever opens first. So that's one component. But I want to talk about the one dentist per chair that you were telling me about, because that was really interesting.
Yeah. So I shared in the past that I spent some time with Sully and T-Bone in their mastermind a while back. And I think Sully actually even has a really good podcast that people should check out. It's called The Value of a Chair. And it kind of blew my mind when you think it's really simple, but take a really high performing dentist, $140,000 a month, just beast, just producing like crazy, but they utilize 2 chairs. Well, really, that's 2 dentists doing $70K a month, right? And so when you bump into this capacity issue where maybe you're a 6-op practice and you really need 7, but you couldn't add ops, you couldn't do anything. You just had to, if you had to consolidate. Well, if you just learned how to do more dentistry in one time block by utilizing sedation, same-day dentistry, all that types of stuff, then you can actually take that same dentist, maybe do 90K, bring out another dentist that does another 90K. And now the dentist is still killing it. The business is actually more profitable, and you're in a better position than you were in the beginning. And you have less of the busy, like the junk that we don't like doing, the post-ops and the crown, like you're able to get more done in less time.
Yeah, I love that. The rule that I learned a long time ago, someone taught me, is that the most expensive thing in a dental office is an empty chair. That's the most expensive thing. So even if one guy's killing it, but he's over here and this chair's not doing anything, it's actually costing you money, because you have fixed cost. And I know dentists don't like this topic.
I lose sleep at night thinking about that, Gary. Like, it gives me
whether you see 1 million patients or 1 patient, your rent stays the same.
Yeah, no, don't get me started on that rabbit.
Okay, so and this kind of leads into that. So, and I think this is probably like the biggest one. And this is the one I get the most resistance on. And not like that people don't want to do it. I think dentists understand that it's hyper important to do and that patients want it, but it just is like a mammoth hill to climb, is freeing up space to actually do the same day treatment. Because if we do everything else that we just talked about, we open up the top of funnel, marketing's working, patients are coming in, they're scheduling right away within a couple days, they're coming in and they want to do the treatment, but you don't have anywhere to put them and do the work and they have to come back later. All of a sudden those patients just start slipping through the cracks and it just gets pushed out and pushed out, and you just, everything doesn't work as well. So how have you kind of unclogged that?
Man, I feel like block scheduling, if you're not doing block scheduling, it's the biggest fix to this, because it does a couple of things. It forces, as you grow, it forces you to reduce the amount of things that's on your menu of treatment, and which may sound like a foreign concept to some people, but like there are certain things that in my very near future that Dr. Hamblin simply doesn't do anymore. Like I don't do single crowns. I don't do single implants. I don't do fillings. That doesn't mean we don't provide them in our office. It's just if you're going to book on my schedule, I only have 2-hour blocks and 3-hour blocks. So what it may look like is you start with 2-hour blocks and 1-hour blocks on your schedule. And then you start to reduce those 1-hour blocks and filling those 1-hour blocks in with more 2-hour blocks. And so you're actually able to shift, and people know this inherently. Like patients understand that a filling is different than a crown. And so they're willing to wait a month and a half, 2 months for a filling, but a crown they need tomorrow. It's like, I don't want this turned into a root canal yet, and or right now. So it's like, if you can reserve those bigger time blocks, you can push the sand down the road to fit those rocks into your room. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So let me just say it back to you to make sure I understand it. So if you go and you use block scheduling, so let's say you want to get to 50 new patients a month. Right now you're seeing 20. So you need to block your schedule in such a way that you can easily fit like 75 to 85 new patients. You're not going to get there, but you could fit them if you need to. And you have all these blocks. And then those blocks are going to go unused at times because you don't need that many. And then you're taking the new patients that are coming in and existing patients that need work that day, and you're just filling them almost like a new patient right into that slot. Is that right?
Yeah, and those blocks, we have a rule that within 48 hours, those blocks can be filled with whatever it is. So we feel like if we haven't filled that block, then within 48 or up to 48 hours before that patient would come, then we will put that patient even in a 2-hour block if it's a 1-hour, right? And that's just because now we're coming up on that, we're teetering on that critical mass deal where it's like, well, we probably won't fill that anyway, so let's go ahead and say yes to this patient so we can get it, right? And then you'll end up still having blocks available to work in same day stuff, right?
How did you handle that from like a practical standpoint? Like today you saw 14 new patients.
Yeah. So we're a little bit different, having just moved into the new building. So we have so many chairs that, like I said, I lose sleep at night thinking about that. But we have chairs to where we can say yes to really anything at any time. And so but I'm already like talking with my management team of like, once we get, right now we have 4 hygienists. When we get to that 5th hygienist, we're going to max out at 6 hygienists in our office, because I think we're going to be a 6-4 office, 6 hygiene 4 doctor. And when we get to that 5th hygienist is when we're going to start building out those new patient blocks for hygiene. Because right now we can fit a new patient in really whenever, right? But for when we get to that 5th going to 6th hygienist, we're going to need to get prepared for in the future. And hygiene is where this is most critical, because it's a 6-month lead time. Like you can start doctor block scheduling like in some offices tomorrow, in a lot of office a month from now, right? But hygiene, you have to plan these at least 6 months in advance of when you need them. And so if you're not doing them in hygiene and you have a capacity issue, just go in tomorrow, like tomorrow morning, go in and figure out how many new patients you want. And like you said, add an extra 10, actually add an extra 15 past that goal on your hygiene schedule for new patients. And you will be amazed at what it will do for you over the next 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, because you can just slot people in. And it looks like you're on pace this month, correct me if I'm wrong, to hit $500,000 in production. Is that right?
Ooh, I don't know if we'll do that. That would be great.
What do you think you'll finish at? 450?
I would love that. Our goal is 360 or 385, sorry. And so so it's the 15th, so we're in the middle of the month and we're at 360 today in scheduled production.
So you're going to blow the 385 out of the water, right?
Yeah, we should.
So what do you think you'll finish at then?
I don't like jinxing myself.
Well, yeah, no, but I mean, if you're at 360 on the books and there's still two and a half weeks,
I think we'll finish it probably around 420.
Okay, so 420. So the reason I was asking that is because you've hit up to 500,000, like really close to it. So if you're adding 4 doctors and 6 hygienists, then where does that put you production wise then?
Yeah, great question. I always debated with my buddy Colin that in a 5-op practice that I could potentially get it to $4.5 million, basically $1 million a chair, which I know probably would never happen, but I believed I could do it. Yeah. So I believe like one day, I believe this could be a $10 to $12 million.
So, okay. So double, like more than doubling where you're at now. So that's why I was wondering, because I was like, if you're already kissing up to 500,000 and this month you're going to hit mid 4s and you're not even close to a full team yet. Like, what does a full team look like?
We would have to be like fully built out to get to those numbers. But if we were able to do 2 to 5 full mouth cases or arches or whatever, and still have a very solid base of general dentistry, I don't think that sounds too wild.
Yeah, correct. Awesome. This is good stuff. You can tell how Dr. Blake is building the foundation. I asked you those questions because I know you're leading into these things and you're doing all these things to get there. So this is a peek inside of the roadmap that Dr. Blake's building. And I appreciate you sharing it with me and with the world out there.
Yeah. And I know my goals sound really far-fetched. So they are just that. They're goals. Like, people are going to, there's no way you can do that. I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. And I'm going to try. And then if I land on the moon, reaching or shooting for the stars or whatever, then I'm cool with that too.
I'm sure you'd be really happy if you're doing $700,000 a month. You'd be happy camper. So good stuff, man. Thanks so much. You have a good one.
Thank you, Gary.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to the whole podcast. You're truly one of our greatest fans, and we really appreciate you. And we want to give you a $3,000 marketing credit to be used to grow your office. We have the link right down below. We'll meet really quickly. It takes about 15 minutes, and we'll tell you how you can save $3,000 on growing your office. And if you're an existing client, let us know, because this is for new clients, but we have some giveaways for existing clients as well. And it's great. So you'll love it. Thank you so much for listening. We really, really appreciate you.